Here I have tissues. First, we'll start off with the meaning of tissues. Tissues are a group of cells that are similar in structure and function together as a unit. There are 4 different types of tissues. We have the muscular, the epithelial, the nervous, and the connective tissues. With the epithelial, it does cover all of the body surface inside and out. It's the main glandular tissue. There is no blood supply in the epithelial tissue. The cells are tightly packed, and there's a type of tissue that can be arranged in different forms. I do have here some of the different forms that the epithelial tissue can change into. First, we'll start off with the simple, which just means it's just a single layer. And then we have the stratified, which just means that there is just more than one layer. There are multiple layers. And then we have the squamous, which is a flat. Then we have the cuboidal, which is square or more like cubed shaped. And then we do have the columnar column, which does appear to look like columns there. And then we've also have the pseudostratified columnar, which you can see they're not quite as columned and straight as the others. And then we also have the glandular epithelial tissue. With this one, it does produce and secrete substances. It does make up glands for the salivary, endocrine, hormones, and exocrine, which is that one there. And then the transitional, which is down here below. With this one, it does stretch. As you can see, there's one that's, I think that this one down here is distended, and then it makes sure that if it does get full, for example, it can be seen in the urinary bladder. If it does get full of urine, it makes sure that it does not leak out. The fluid does stay in within the tissue. Okay, next we'll talk about the connective tissues and the different types. With the connective tissue, it's most abundant tissue in the body. It does bind structures together, provides support, protection, framework, fills spaces, stores fat, produces blood supply, also fights infection. It is composed of scattered cells within the matrix, and it can reproduce cells as well. So we'll start off with the loose connective tissue that is seen right here. With the loose connective tissue, it is a delicate thin membrane throughout the body. It binds underlying organs to skin and to each other. And then we do have the fibrous connective tissue, where there are 2 parts. We do have the tendon, which is muscle that connects to the bone, and then we do have the ligament, which is seen there, which is bone to bone. It connects from bone to bone. And then we do have the dense connective tissue, which is more or less cartilage tissue. Can be like in the ears, it is very flexible. And then we do have down below, the bone tissue. It's strength and structure to bones. It's made up compact and with cancellous tissue. And then the adipose tissue, which is mainly made up of fat. You can see all the differences there. And then with the blood tissue, I don't know if I've said this, so I'm sorry. It is made up of tissue and fluid. It's a collection of similar cells that serve particular functions. Red and white blood cells are seen in the blood tissue. These fragments are called platelets. Okay, and then there are 3, I didn't talk about the main fibers in the connective tissue. The main fibers, they're also collagenous fibers. They're strong and flexible. Like I mentioned before, like the ligaments, they're elastic. And then also the next one. Now the three types of muscle tissue. I do have the cardiac, the skeletal, and the smooth. The cardiac is mainly seen within the heart. It's joined end to end. Each cells have two single nucleuses, so you can see there. Now the skeletal, it forms muscle to attach to bones controlled by conscious effort. They're long and thread-like. They're built to help improve the head, the trunk, and our limbs. And then we do have the smooth muscle. There's no striations, as you can see. It's completely smooth, unlike the cardiac muscle. It is spinal shaped. It's involuntary movement. It does compose of the stomach, intestines, urinary bladder, uterus, blood vessels as well. It moves food through the digestive system. It constricts blood vessels and empties the urinary bladder as well. And for the last portion of this, I do have, and I drew a neuron here. With this neuron, I can go ahead and go over the different parts here. We do have the nucleus, which is the main portion of this. Then we have the soma, which is the body. It's the cell body here. And then I have the dendrite that receives the stimuli. And then we have the axon, which down below you can see they're the longest, almost look like long legs. That is again the axon that sends signals to other cells. And then I also drew the neurological cell here and here. And then as far as the difference between the neurons and the neuralgia cells, so the neurons, so you can see here, send and receive info to the stimuli. They coordinate, regulate, and integrate most of the body function, whereas the neuralgia cells support and bind the components of the nervous tissue. They carry phagocytes and help supply growth and have nutrients to the neurons as well. The nervous tissue can be found in the brain, in the spinal cord, and in the nerves as well.